Chris Lee and Blake Lovell, Southeastern 14 here. We've had a ton of coaching news in the SEC in the offseason. Dominoes continue to fall, and the latest one that's official, Todd Golden, the San Francisco coach who lost in overtime to Murray State, is now heading to Gainesville. Blake, your thoughts on that, and was it what you expected?
I mean, he was always among the possibilities just because, as we said, when we talked about it, we said, look, there are going to be, I think 4 or 5 names that are going to pop up everywhere, and that's going to be Todd Golden, Matt McMahon, Dennis Gates, Grant McCaslin, and there may be somebody else I'm just forgetting off the top of my head, but those would be the guys you're going to hear all over the place, everywhere. Could this guy be a fit? Could this be a possibility? And we said, for Florida, it would really just be a matter of, okay, who do you go after? And what have I said before, right? It's just when you set your expectations so high to where, think about how this thing started, right? First name, 2 names out of Florida fans' mouths were what? Scott Drew, Tony Bennett. Oh, just 2 guys that have won national championships in the past couple of years.
Let's throw in Brad Stevens while we're at it.
But see, that's my point. It's not as though you blame Florida fans for wanting the best of the best. It's just when you start there, then you're only going to say, okay, well, this could be disappointing, right? But I don't think you should look at it that way. And I'm going to be honest with you here. I've seen different opinions on this. I've seen some Florida fans who are not thrilled with it. I've seen others who are all in. And I think that's the thing. It's like we have to remember, we're not just talking about Florida. We're talking about any coaching search. You have to remember, like, expectations are a big part of it. And if you thought it was going to be Scott Drew or Tony Bennett, then Todd Golden probably feels underwhelming. But if you actually look at it, it's a very similar path that Florida's taken, right? Go back to 1996. Billy Donovan, 30 years old, gets a 6-year contract. That worked out. Not saying Todd Golden's going to be Billy Donovan. Mike White, go back to 2015. He's mid-30s, somewhere in there. I think something like that, maybe 37, 38. Gets a 6-year contract. Todd Golden, 36, gets a 6-year contract. I think that, to me, Florida is always looking for the next Billy Donovan. That's what they tried with Mike White, right? I mean, that's what they're trying now, I think, with Todd Golden. And it's not a knock on these guys. It's just, I think that's the expectation that has been set at this point. And fair or unfair, those are going to be the expectations that you're held to at Florida. Todd Golden, SEC experience, coached under Bruce Pearl. I think that plays a big role here. He's someone that is familiar with the conference, having been with Pearl for several years. And J.J. Jacobs, so by the way, what is he? What's his role at Florida now? He is Let me look that up.
By the way, our technical term for this is the Gruden effect. That's the lingo we use on the show.
There you go. So Jay Jacobs is the former AD at Auburn. He's now so he's the associate athletics director at Florida. So there's another connection, right? So this is all kind of leading back to Bruce Pearl, and having someone who coached with Bruce Pearl is seen, again, widely as one of the best up-and-coming coaches out there in terms of young coaches in the game. Runs an offensive system that has everybody drooling on Twitter. That's always a good thing. So everybody loves
been
offense.
Interesting this week.
Boy, Twitter's been interesting. You talk about some takes that are very interesting and very contradictory at the same time. We'll get into those at some point. But, yeah, I mean, his teams are fun to watch, and I think that's important, right? Like, if you're trying to make a big hire, it's an important part of the process is to have a guy, I think, that plays an entertaining style of basketball. And we've seen that work for SEC teams, right? We've seen it work with some of the other guys that have come into the league. He's only been there 3 years. I think that's something that, WCC to SEC is a big jump, and I think we'd all agree with that. But I sometimes think that's Nate Oates made the jump from the MAC to the SEC and won the league title shortly after. So, I mean, I think sometimes that can just be, I think there's too much that goes into that. But I say all that to say this. Is there risk involved with this hire? Yes. Is there a lot of upside involved in this hire? Yes. So anytime you hire from the mid-major level and it's a guy that has no power conference experience, there is always going to be risk involved. But we don't do the interview process. Chris and I don't do the interview process. Fans on Twitter don't do the interview process. You have to trust that the interview process whatever it looks like, that the guy that comes out of it was the best of the group. And I think for Todd Golden, there are a lot of people out there that think he's going to have a very successful career, think that he will absolutely, be great at Florida because he will recruit well, and he's opened up a lot of possibilities. You can recruit Florida area, so many things you can do there. I know I've seen some of the backlash has kind of come around the NIL and all this other stuff, which we have to keep in mind. That's a part of the process now. And here's what I'll say about this, and I'll let you. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling, but what to me is different about this cycle of SEC hires thus far versus maybe the one we saw previously. And someone pointed this out yesterday. Who are the names that came in previously? You had Eric Musselman, Nate Oates,
Stackhouse.
Stackhouse. Who was the other one? There was someone else that was hired during that wave. Buzz was the other one.
Yes.
Yeah. Different pedigree, right? Like in terms of how long they had been coaching and the things that they had. This round, it seems to me, you're getting some of those. And look, there are still jobs that have to be filled, right? We don't know if Dennis Gates, as we're recording this, is going to be the next coach at Missouri. We don't know who the coaches are going to be in some of these other places. But you're getting guys that maybe don't have as much experience, but maybe also have just as much of that upside. And yet you're going for the up and coming ones, the younger up and coming guys, perhaps. Again, Golden, we know, is the hire. If Gates comes in, he's kind of that similar mold, I think. And Matt McMahon, right? He's another one. Maybe he winds up somewhere, don't know. So that, I think, is the difference in this round of hires. But no matter who you hire in the SEC, we always say now, competition is fierce. And, we'll see what happens.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot because we did not discuss this ahead of time. But I think you'll give a good answer. Go back to when Florida hired Mike White. Knowing what you knew then, hit the pause button. You don't know how it's going to work out. Same thing today with Todd Golden. Who looks like the better hire at the moment it was made?
Great question. I don't have a definitive answer on it. So yeah. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Look, I can't tell you what my answer would have been either. I guess that White never went to the NCAA tournament at Tech. But in my mind, he did something better, like he won a lot consistently. Because you can get hot for 3 or 4 days and go to the tournament. I mean, heck, Dennis Felton did it at Georgia one year where they won 4 games in the conference and I think won that many in the tournament. To me, I'll bank on consistency, which is why I think I'm probably in the minority. I've maintained I thought Mike White was a little bit underrated. Georgia apparently agreed to some degree and hired him. But yeah, I keep thinking, because everybody has their takes afterwards of, it wasn't going to work or it shouldn't work or whatever, or it was a bad hire. That's not really obvious when it's done. Sometimes it is, and those are the ones that are really bad hires. When you can spot all the reasons that shouldn't work in 5 seconds and then it doesn't work, that's a bad hire. To me, there are bad hires and there are hires that don't work out if you're going to go to the category of failures. And to me, this could be a hire that doesn't work out, but I don't think it's a bad hire.
Right.
Unless there's something we don't know.
Well, no, you're exactly right. It's not a bad hire, and it is a hire that could absolutely work out in a big way for Florida. Because, again, you're always thinking about this, right? If this guy is the guy, you just got a 36-year-old guy that could be there for 15 years and, put you in a really good spot. So, once again, I know sometimes fans will not think this way because I think there's sometimes emotion clouds logic and awareness.
No.
Could be wrong about that.
Do you think that happens in the SEC?
I don't listen. Our fans with us here on this channel, no. But
no.
On Twitter, it's another story. I just think it's, once again, Todd Golden, a lot of people speak highly of him. I think he's a very talented, again, up-and-coming coach. 3rd year at San Francisco. He's worked with some really good coaches. The offense, like I said, has people drooling. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think that it's, once again, if there's any risk with a hire, that comes from a guy who hasn't coached at the power conference level, but everybody's got to start somewhere, right? And I think if you were a Florida fan expecting Scott Drew or Tony Bennett, which, like I said, I'm not going to blame anyone for making the call, but expectations are always important in these. And so if you see Todd Golden as an underwhelming hire, I think you've got to really look a little bit deeper in sort of the thought process of how is Florida looking at this, and what are the things that they really value right now at this time and need. I think in that instance, it's a quality hire.
You know, the thoughts on Florida's hire here.
Until he plays a game, I don't have a lot. Like as I always say too, is like, you know, we always say, what's the thing we say? Like, games aren't won at the press conference. Like, you can win the press conference, that's great, but fans want you to win games. And so until the games start and you start to see recruiting, which, like I said, I do think he'll be able to recruit well. I'm not gonna be the hot take guy that declares it a 100% guarantee hire or 100% failure hire. It's just
I'll make a statement and give group credit to Gary Parrish. I mean, not like this is an original thought. I've thought it too, but there's such a randomness to hires. And he was talking recently about Chris Mack. Chris Mack left Xavier, where he'd won a lot with consistency, took better job, maybe not a better job for him, but a better job in everyone's estimation. And it didn't work. He was gone in, what, less than 3 years?
There are no guarantees in coaching hires.
There aren't. I mean, even the ones that you think, and that's the best one I can think of off the top of my head. I know there's 2 or 3 others I'll think of as soon as we're done with this. I mean, Billy Gillespie looked like a really good hire for Kentucky. Didn't work out.
Chris, Tom Crean looked like a good hire for Georgia, and I know we've talked about this one. It's like there are so many people out there pumping their chest about how Tom Crean was going to be the. You
didn't know.
You didn't know, and this was a guy who had been in Indiana and had success. So
he won 2 Big Ten titles at Indiana, taking over a train wreck. He'd taken Marquette to a Final Four. No offense to Georgia, but that's a better class of coach than you usually get.
Yes, it was a great hire. I mean, in terms of like, if you compared it to what maybe even the expectations were, like on paper, the accolades, same. Ben Howland, Mississippi State.
Been to a Final Four.
How is that not a good hire?
Been a national runner-up.
Yeah, like how do you view that as just a completely? You just never know. And in this league, I keep saying it. It does not matter who you are, what your name is, like where you come from. The SEC is as tough as it's ever been. So that's going to be a challenge for no matter who takes a job at any of these schools. So I don't, and this is like a discussion that goes beyond the Todd Golden situation, but it does tie into it. So I just think, man, expectations and understanding of where things are at. Like, and I understand people are fandom, like it's great, but I just think sometimes you gotta let things play out a little bit and give it a little time before we start rushing and making these greatest hire ever or worst hire ever.
Let's be honest. You've got a lot you want to say. This may not be the video to do it in, but it's been percolating all morning because we've been talking a lot off podcast.
I'm gonna save this one. Yes.
Yeah, it'll be a doozy. We're sitting here doing this on about 10:15 Central Time Saturday morning. We thought Missouri might have a hire by now. In fact, we thought Missouri was going to have a hire about the time we started this, and I'm getting a text that's saying maybe not so fast. And then we've got probably another one that's coming as soon as a certain team's run in the NCAA tournament is over. So
there you go.
there you go. We will have more coaching videos as the dominoes fall. But first, a couple words from sponsors as we leave. The madness has officially begun. It's time for you to shoot your shot, score big on the nonstop action with MyBookie. Doesn't matter if you're filling out multiple brackets, betting the national championship winner, or simply looking for player and game props, MyBookie has you covered. Sign up today at MyBookie. Use the promo code Southeastern to secure a first deposit bonus up to $1,000. It's simple. Put in $200 and play with $300. Use promo code Southeastern to claim your bonus. College ball, NBA, UFC, no matter the sport, no matter the minute, MyBookie puts the action in your hands with live in-game betting. And choose from thousands of lines and odds so you can turn any game day into payday. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Also, if you want to place some bets and don't use real money, our pals at the Stakes app are where you need to look. That's the sport-themed social network. I can't speak. The sports-themed social network dedicated to everyone from the fanatics to the casual fans. Stakes is a place to prove your knowledge and win prizes and bragging rights by wagering and making predictions and get your friends, other sports fans, even some of your favorite social media personalities like us. Sign up, use the code Southeastern14 to wager with Stakes. All right, final thoughts on the SEC coaching searches and the Florida one in particular, if you have anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I quality hire in my opinion. It's all about recruiting. It's all about building the right staff. I think those are the two big things for Todd Golden. Very well liked in coaching circles, very well respected. Is like some of these other guys we talked about, seen as one of those, good, potentially great up and coming coaches in the country. And so I think he'll have all the resources he needs to be successful, and just a matter of how does it play out in a very tough SEC.